Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith, Falcapisi,
Here.
Hamilton, here, Cozzini,
Here.
Linsdau, here, Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Would anyone like to speak in public comment? Correspondence?
No.
Anyone want to remove anything from the consent? Okay, who would like to make the motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, President's report. 18. Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone else have a report? No? Okay, Ryan?
Any questions about the executive director's report? I don't think there's anything I want to point out in particular. We're going on the new PO system, the Precoro system, and that's going well. So that's something, under the Work Smarter, Not Harder umbrella, that's going really well. So it's a project we had planned and it's implemented, and it's simplifying the process. We're still working out some issues, but. Friends book sale was super successful. So we, other than a couple of instances with, mask mandate issues, it went really well. So that was great.
I just have a comment. We were out looking at Christmas lights, and we also saw the bookmobile, and my kids cheered just about as much for the Christmas lights as the bookmobile. But it was really good to see it again.
Yeah.
Okay, no other questions on that? Okay, operations?
I don't think I have any updates from last week. It's, first of all, going to be back in person to see everyone in person. Kind of status quo. Essentially, we're, I feel like our numbers are pretty steady, and we're just being cautious because we're looking at the numbers. And what was it, 6 to 8 weeks ago? Per 100,000 people in Lake County or area of Lake County, it was maybe around 100 cases or so. Now we're up to like over 300. So you all are aware that the numbers are rising. So, we'll see if we can get through this and just keep pushing forward.
Okay. On to the meetings, unless anyone has any questions on that? Okay. Illinois Libraries present.
Yeah, so this is something I'm really excited about. This, you might recall, early when the pandemic started, there were some libraries that got together and had some really big authors with an EDI focus. And unfortunately, we weren't part of those efforts, but out of that came the idea that I think Kate Hall, as the director of the Northwood Public Library, has really pushed with some other people, is this idea of why don't we all collaborate as public libraries and pool our resources together so we can attract really big name presenters, big name authors with the focus on EDI programming. So if we were to enter into this, and I'm asking the board to adopt this intergovernmental agreement tonight because staff thinks it's a good idea, it's $1,150. So just short of, so it's less than $200 for each program because we'll get 6 programs out of it. And the first 2 have been announced, which are in your packet. So it's a pilot, and we're not committing to this beyond the 6 months, but I think it's worth a shot. And I think it's a good use of our resources, honestly. And what's nice about this too is that, as you can see, if you look on page 32 of your packet, the memo that the steering committee of Illinois Libraries Presents put together, it's inclusive for all public libraries. So there are 312 libraries in the state that have less than $250,000 operating budget. So those libraries can participate for $40, which is fantastic, because there are some smaller libraries, downstate libraries that just couldn't afford it otherwise. But it's still a great deal for us. I mean, if we were to go out and get these presenters ourselves, we would be paying quite a bit more than less than $200. So I don't really see any downside to it. We can with the existing budget, we can do this, and yeah, there's really little downside in terms of the agreement. Joe asked me about this. You'll see if you look at the agreement, it's between WNPL and Northbrook Public Library and Rails. And basically Northbrook is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the contracts and reaching out to presenters and handling all the logistical things. These are all virtual programs. And then Rails is going to handle the billing. So we'll get the invoice from Rails and we'll pay Rails. So
Will we be able to know, like, if our patrons attend and, like, numbers?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because I think people have to register through the portal. So because there is a limit. I mean, it's a pretty big limit, but yeah.
Would, like, 5 people going be a win? Like, do we have any idea what we would, like, what we'd aim for in
Well, and if
attendance?
there's 6 programs, it's going to appeal to many different people, I would assume, no?
Right. I would assume we'll get more than 5 people per program.
Yeah.
Because we'll promote it through our channels as well.
Yeah.
So it'll go, be, I imagine in the next newsletter. In the meantime, we'll put it out on, social media, Facebook, that type of stuff.
Like, I guess my question is, how do you judge if it's successful without, like, some criteria like that? So at the end of the 6, how do we decide if we're gonna do more? Or
Yeah,
not?
yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a great question. And I think probably the metric to use would be, would be attendance. Although Catherine, that's a good point, because one of the things that, I want to focus on, especially as we start to new things and looking at serving our broader community, is looking at the way we measure success with programs, because I think a lot of the times we'll only look at, the attendance metric or participation, and I think that whether we should do these programs goes beyond that. So, but I think in this case, yeah, it's probably just how many patrons take advantage of it.
It's for a year, is that right? The membership, is it a year?
The 6 months.
6 months, oh, just
Yeah.
6 months,
Yeah.
okay.
Ryan, how many people on average come to one of our virtual programs that we currently host?
What's the average? It's tough, George, because we have they vary so.
Let's say a virtual author
Like
visit.
a virtual author visit? I don't know that, Noreen, you know off the top of your head? I don't have
I
that.
think we've got pretty good numbers for the author visits, but in the beginning, when we were trying some other things, some weren't as popular, but people weren't used to going online and see things.
Well, if we can't do the average, what's the range? Like, what's a low range for you? What would you consider average or wildly restricted? You don't know?
But no, not up there.
I mean, when you walk into a program or you see it online, and if you saw 10 people attending, would you think that's good, or would you think not so good?
Probably not great. I mean, I would think, you want to get into 20, 25 people at least.
I'm just thinking, 6 months from now, when we look back, I'd like to have comparison numbers. How much is the difference between these programs versus programs that we've sponsored ourselves?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on that then? All right, who would like to make a motion?
I move that the board approve the Illinois Libraries Present Intergovernmental Agreement as presented.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
The only thing I'll mention is I am kind of excited about the first author on that list, so I definitely like this.
Any further discussion? All right, we don't need a roll call for this, do we?
We do some intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, no comment.
Arnold? Aye. Falcapisi? Aye. Cotsini?
Aye.
Hamilton?
Aye.
Linsdau? Aye. Sutton?
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, the per capita grant.
Yeah, just to close out lastly, we'll get our numbers for our virtual programs for maybe for the next board meeting, and we'll track that against these, because I think that's a great suggestion, so thanks for that. Yeah, the per capita grant, starting on page 45, we've already talked about this, hopefully everyone had a chance to look through it. It's really the same, almost identical as last year, other than maybe the dates in terms of what we were asked to do. So we talked about the different chapters, and we've updated this accordingly. So any questions about this, comments, concerns?
Okay, who wants to make this motion?
I move that the board approve the per capita and equalization and grants application as presented.
Second.
Further discussion? You want to do roll call, Lisa? Okay.
Sutton. Aye. Linsdau.
Aye.
Hamilton. Aye. Cozzini.
Aye.
Farkapisi.
Aye.
Arnold.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
Yeah, so this report is prepared by Lauterbach and Amon after the audit is finished, and they were behind this year, but we're okay because we'll meet our deadline. So this is a report that we file with the clerk's office, and it's a requirement. So any questions about this? This is something that Andrea signs off on. So Andrea, you specifically have any questions or concerns about
I
this?
do not. I didn't go back and check every number, but I suppose you and Doug did.
Anyone else have any questions?
Are they always running a little bit behind?
Historically, we've had our challenges with Lauterbach and Amon.
Seems like it.
Seems like.
Do we accept that, or?
Well,
I realize it's probably a challenge to.
yeah, I mean, it's a battle. I think one of the challenges we have is, and maybe it's one of those things we should talk about at a future meeting, is the, use of accounting firms and see what the market's out there, see what else is out there, because we have had issues off and on in terms of timeliness of things, so.
Okay, who wants to make this motion?
I move that the board approve the treasurer's report of annual receipts and disbursements as presented.
I'll second.
that. Go ahead, just put it in. Okay, let me make that.
Hamilton. Aye. Farkapisi.
Aye.
Sutton.
Aye.
Arnold.
Aye.
Cozzini.
Aye.
Linsdau.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Wow, okay. This is moving along. Okay, so anything besides what's on here for January? Okay.
Oh, sorry, Joe, you have the policy?
Do
I don't see it.
Isn't
know
that
what
for
they are?
February?
It's the one carryover from this time,
Library card?
3013?
3013, yeah.
Okay. Is that library card?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Wow. I move that the board enter into executive session, 5 ILCS 120/2C1, to review the performance of the executive director.
I'll second.
Are you going to bring me into the session or later?
Oh, no, you're in. Yeah,
It's
with
not in the-
with
it's
Ronnie
not-
present.
It's not in the motion, sorry.
Sorry.
That's my bad.
Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
I forgot all about it till I got home from work, so I hope they're cooked, but they're probably still. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
Thank you. Okay, we are back in session. It is 7:58.
I didn't know we were back in session, sorry.
I I move that the board accept Executive Director Liverbert's performance evaluation and increase his compensation to $146,289, beginning January 1st, 2022.
I'll second.
We should cover, any discussion? We should have a roll call, please.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay, anyone want to speak in public forum? Anyone have any announcements besides what's on here? All right, who would like to move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. 7:59.
And this is Ann's last meeting, correct?
Yes.